Hello, humans. How are you? It's me, Sophia, the tiny kitten human. Today I'm going to be talking about PTSD, my journey with PTSD, and raising awareness, I guess, for the fact that not everyone with PTSD is a combat veteran. It's actually more common for women who have experienced sexual assault to develop PTSD in terms of ratios, I guess, than combat veterans, interestingly. Whee! And so I just wanted to talk about that and learn you a little bit about post-traumatic stress disorder, because June is PTSD Awareness Month, apparently. You are awesome. And for the record, I know learn you is not proper English. I was trying to be funny, and now I feel weird about it, but I'm gonna keep it because why not? Okay, there we go. But my wheelchair is awesome. Look at it handling this terrain without any problem. Rock, avoiding the rock. One-handed awesomeness. Woo! It'd be a lot easier if I used both hands. Whee! I'm awesome. You are awesome. We're all awesome because God made us and God is awesome. So I figure I can, I can start with just telling my story of how I experienced PTSD. It's really hot out here. When I was 15, for about 5 months, I was being severely sexually abused by a family friend who took advantage of the fact that I didn't understand the concept that I could say no to an adult. In just my vulnerable situation, having just got back out of foster care, living with my birth mom again, who is, my birth mom is both sexually abusive and extremely neglectful. And so that went on for about 5 months, got to the point where I would meet this person after school. We would have sex and then he'd drop me off back at home. I'd get off at a different bus stop. And then it ended when I ended up miscarrying a child, and I was in denial about that, seriously in denial about that for many, many years. And so when I faced that, that was a whole separate grieving process, and that really helped me heal and was a big step in being able to continue on with life with PTSD. But so for many years I just kind of tried to ignore it, suppress it, just the abuse in general. And so it was difficult because there's only so much you can run from it, and running from it just makes things worse. 15, for about 5 months, I was being severely sexually abused by a family friend who took advantage of the fact that I didn't understand the concept that I could say no to an adult. In just my vulnerable situation, having just got back out of foster care, living with my birth mom again, who is, my birth mom is both sexually abusive and extremely neglectful. And so that went on for about 5 months, got to the point where I would meet this person after school. We would have sex and then he'd drop me off back at home. I'd get off at a different bus stop. And then it ended when I ended up miscarrying a child, and I was in denial about that, seriously in denial about that for many, many years. And so when I faced that, that was a whole separate grieving process, and that really helped me heal and was a big step in being able to continue on with life with PTSD. But so for many years I just kind of tried to ignore it, suppress it, just the abuse in general. And so it was difficult because there's only so much you can run from it, and running from it just makes things worse. But yeah, so my PTSD was at its absolute worst when I was in college, living in the dorms, and I think that was because for the first time in as far back as I could remember, I was kind of in a more stable, safer environment. When I lived with my foster parents, they were absolutely amazing and I loved them dearly, but I hadn't been diagnosed with autism yet, and so there was just strife in terms of some of the things I had difficulty with. They couldn't understand how someone so smart could struggle with those things, and so it was difficult, and I never knew what I was going to get in trouble for next, and they always assumed I was being manipulative rather than just being autistic. So that was a difficult time, but I'm grateful for everything they've done. They've really helped me grow and be a better person, be a better adult, and all that. But during that time, I was still in defense mode, I guess. And then when I moved back with my birth mom after I turned 18 and things kind of went sour, more so with my foster parents, so I moved back in with my mom. She'd gone off her medication, and then she kind of became unstable and then physically violent, in addition to just being neglectful and just sexually abusive. And so I didn't feel safe during that time either. And so I have a sense that my PTSD really came to a head when it was a case of, you aren't in any immediate danger, we're going to deal with this now. And so when I was in college, it was getting progressively worse and worse and worse, where I was having more and more difficulty functioning, and I was dealing with flashbacks, memories, just an overwhelming sense of just severe depression and anxiety that were caused or exacerbated by the PTSD. I was cutting myself because at the time, doing so was one of the only things that would ground me, which wasn't really that healthy. But I would stay up late in the night just freaking out because I was trying to not hurt myself, but I was in just such mental anguish that it sometimes felt like it was the only answer and was the only relief, because just facing the memories and the fear and the anguish was so overwhelming that it became harder and harder and harder to function, and I ended up being hospitalized twice. The first time I was a voluntary admission because I'd hurt myself pretty badly and I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to stop, and I didn't want to kill myself. And so I went in and I was there for about 5 days, and then I went and I visited my dad and family in California. And then I came back and I tried to continue schooling, but I was not able to think or focus or function because it would be just weighing down on my mind, and I couldn't escape it. Even when I was in class trying to take a test and I couldn't study, I was exhausted because I couldn't sleep, because when I went to sleep I had nightmares and those were really bad, and so I needed sleep, but I was afraid to sleep. And so then I had still been hurting myself, and when I had told my therapist that I was doing so, she had me admitted then involuntarily, and so I was then in the psychiatric hospital for 10 days, and I realized I was not in a place where I could continue school at the time. So I then medically withdrew from school, moved to California, and moved in with my dad, and then spent the next about year and a half just really focusing on confronting my past and trusting in God and surrendering to God and just facing it and working through it and doing the hard, terrifying work of just dealing with what happened and how it affected me and all that. And I'm doing so much better now. It's not easy all the time. I still have struggled. Sometimes once in a while I'm still tempted to hurt myself, but it's so much better than it was. That is once in a blue moon these days. It used to be something that was just always in the back of my head and would not go away because of how much I was struggling with because of the PTSD. And so it's just, I am on the other side in many ways now, and it's of course difficult. Anniversaries are hard, and just sometimes unexpected triggers still come. I still have PTSD, but it's not life-altering, debilitating. It's part of me. It's not consuming me anymore because I was able to work on it. I did therapy. I worked on getting on the right medications and just trusting God, giving it up to God and praying and being open about my struggles and not hiding it. And a big portion for me was allowing myself to grieve the miscarriage, which was something that I needed to do. It doesn't necessarily apply to everyone, but that made a ginormous difference for me. So that's my story. But yeah, I'm living proof that you can get better. That sure, mental illness might not ever fully go away, but that for some people, and I know not everybody, but if you put in the work, it does get better. God bless you.
Hello, humans. It's Sophia the Tiny Kitten Human again, asking you that if you liked what you saw, heard, or meow, to please like and subscribe. Click on my face to subscribe and like. You are awesome. God bless.